probably hear the music, and I'll probably have to mute the stream if it keeps going. It's highly likely that will. Okay, I don't think the stream crashed, which is nice. We're back at floating spawn. I want to open up Chromium. Hopefully I can restore. Okay, it's still, still live. We'll keep that muted, and the audio is gone. I kind of liked maybe being over here, like under the shade of this tree is actually kind of funny. Okay, I have to open up a lot of the stuff I had. And then I can just back up and it should spawn like right here. Okay, so it spawned the webcam right here, not what I wanted. Oh, that's not a command. Sleep. Did it again. Let's do that again. Okay, I want it to spawn like, I don't know, not too far behind the tree. It feels pretty close, but I don't know, that seems like kind of a cool shot. Just like, I'm not sure if I like where the backing terminal is, but I suppose it's fine. So I think the majority of this stuff on the ground is paint. That'd be my guess. I need like an eraser to get the paint. I think that's what I'll need. For instance, let's see if you can see my foot. Okay, so this is the closest paint glob you guys see. That one's actually rather small. I'm not going to get that one. There we go. So it kind of hurts. I'm using my thumb as an eraser. If you tried that on paper, obviously it wouldn't work and it would hurt. Acrylic is a little more rubbery, like a pencil or something. So it works. I think it's ripping off a lot of like top layer of skin though as I do it. And then also kind of like rubbing my foot down the grain of wood, or my hand down the grain of wood. It's really old wood. It still kind of hurts to rub wood like that. I think this one smells like. There's a strong drip there, so. And this one I think came from the cap. I can get most of it with my fingernail. It doesn't take too long to get most of this, but it is kind of a pain. Actually, mostly I need to take care of the brushes. I'm not sure if this one is salvageable. Yeah. Let me get something to dry that paint up. On one hand, I'm generally fine with paint water stains. But on the other hand, it was kind of a pain to get that white paint out of the floor, off of the floor. This wood probably isn't going to work very much longer for absorbing the paint water after I wash my brushes. Also, some of these brushes aren't great. This one's not bad though. This one is pretty good too, although it's still got some water on my hand. Actually probably dry them off with this as well. This one isn't so bad. Let me try this. Let me try this as well. I enjoy this. Okay, so these aren't so bad. This one's broken and kind of gross. Let's see how much we can get off of that. There we go. The only thing it has on there now is the purple, which I let to dry for a very long time, so that purple's probably, I'll have to scratch it off there. This brush was basically encrusted with purple. It feels like it's doing a little better, but it still has some like really stuck bristles. So it's not really an effective, it's not a fully effective paintbrush. It's very coarse now. I think over time, as I continue to twist it and maybe paint with it, it'll probably get good. So I like it because it's one of the longer ones. I think it's one of the first paintbrushes I used, I guess, in recent times, since I paint recently. And then this brush, it was good. It might be slightly damaged. I think this might be one of my favorite brushes. It's a P-U-R-D-Y. I think I'm getting paint on the body because I'm leaning backwards on something that's relatively fresh. This is just like a home improvement brush. It feels pretty good. It's got a little bit of tangle in the blue, I guess. I just painted some bluish purple with it, I think. So there's like a little bit of that that's apparently stuck. But besides that, that came out really easily too. Yeah, so this brush is good. It's might trim it. It's got some fibers that are starting to like fall away and bend away. But it's a good brush. I'm actually going to use this water to clean up some paint water stain that is still on the floor here. It's funny. I could try to use this on like this in my fingernail on some paint. Hey, that actually works. Let's try that. I'll show you. See if you can see the, okay, yeah, you can very clearly see the paint there. This might be one that I would be able to get with my fingernail in general, but the paint kind of got stuck in my fingernail. So I have this like sort of rag and yeah, there we go, we got that with my fingernail. This, like I said, this one isn't as, I guess, fun because it's more, I don't know, the pieces are sort of more whole. But I was able to scrape up even the remainder. Yeah, that worked really well. Perfect. So yeah, I can just do that on all these acrylic paint drips. This wood is pretty well stained already, so it's locked in. Nothing can get to it. That one's kind of crazy. Can you see that one right now? Beside the, I don't know what you'd call that, pallet. Oh wow, the rag takes it right off. Look at that. That's crazy. Wow. Can you see the blue one? Yeah, you guys can see the blue one. What you guys can't see is the ant walking across the screen of the HackMatrix laptop. Not this one, but the one up there. Not the min spec one. Not the max spec. So this paint is about probably 12 hours old, maybe a little longer. So it is kind of interesting that I can basically just scrape it right off, or rub it right off. Even probably the darker ones over there. Go take a look at those. The real question is, can I scrape off the paint off the wall so the landlord doesn't get upset? That's only if the landlord gets upset. Which right now I don't think the landlord's going to be upset. Because right now the landlord is 2026 myself. When the landlord becomes 2028 myself, perhaps I won't be so happy about it. But 2026 myself is completely fine with the paint on the wall. This is like a purplish paint. That one came up brilliantly. That was awesome. Let's try it with the blue. I imagine the longer I kept this on here, probably the longer it would have taken to, or the more difficult it would have been to take the paint off. So I'm glad I'm doing this only after like 12 hours. Still kind of a pain though. But I do like these floors. They're quite wooden. I don't know how old the wood is. I guess technically it could be 126 years old. As old as some of the wood in the house. Some of the house, the lumber itself is probably older. I wouldn't imagine it was much older though. Maybe a year or two. I guess it depends on how long you have to cure lumber, I guess. I know very little about the lumber market. Especially the 1900s, late 19th century market. I said 1900s, but I meant 1800s because the house was built to 1900 flat. Means at least the wood was sourced in 99, I would imagine. Maybe all 9 months of the house building process were carried out in the year of 1900. I was kind of amused when I first washed some of this paint off the floor because it leaves like a paint streak, which is not something I imagined would happen with acrylic, which seems to be sort of impervious to water, thus making it not able to, dissolve into the water. And yet water helps and gives it that streak. So it's kind of just strange in general. This one is thick enough that I can rip it out there. Probably won't be able to look at it here. I probably won't be able to get it out of this crease here. Actually, I think it's probably okay. Use my fingernail or something in there. I'm completely fine with there being a glob of paint in there. It seems almost impossible to get out. Which means I could paint all of the joints in here and it would just be like a glob of like semi-waterproof paint maybe. Again, acrylics obviously dissolving to some extent. I feel like this purple right here is like pretty old. It's not dissolving. So maybe it's just because it's like really new paint. And not really new. It's last night, maybe a day ago. Almost done. I thought about this yesterday and I was like, well, it's an art studio, so like I'm not too concerned about paint. But I look at the stream, like screenshots and stuff, where I look at like the webcam, and I'm like, I don't like paint on the ground. I like the look of the wooden floors. I think the paint sort of makes it look dirty and detracts from the vibe. So I was like, well, okay, I guess that means I have to pick it all up and wash it all off or whatever it is that I'm doing right now. You guys can even see where I'm at. In my other room, the floors basically have like just white paint from like regular, house painting, and so it's just like all of this like beige sort of paint, and it's kind of lame that it's all over the floor, and it's not super colorful. So yesterday when I was thinking about the paint that's here, I was like, well, I already have a room with splotches of paint on the ground, and so I guess that sort of gives me precedent to keep the paint on the ground. But I also like this room in large part because there isn't painting just gross stuff on the ground, and the floor has like really decent wood down here. And then I saw the paint that I created and I was like, well, it sort of makes it look like the other room. It sucks. So I was like, I hope I can remove it. And as it turns out, the answer is yes, although it does seem to get harder to remove with age, on the span of like, I'm not talking hours, I'm talking like days or weeks. I don't know. It seems pretty atrocious that it would be weeks. It is just like, it does seem to be multiple hours at least, a day at least. that white is smearing there, the blue is not. The white is like maybe 12 hours newer than the blue, perhaps. Something like that. Okay, we're almost done with this, I think. It's mostly just this blue paint now. I guess with the addition of stuff super close to the wall. Which I can maybe get creative with being kind of gross. Okay, so this washed out blue, excuse me. This washed out blue color is terrible. I don't think I'll be able to remove much of it. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's not so bad. It's funny because the water I'm using is also a similar color. That's not what's in here, that's just blue paint in there. It's kind of giving like the floor like a blue tint to it, washing it with this color. I may want to go empty this out and go get new fresh water. Leave it back. Look how blue the water I was washing it with is. It's incredibly blue water. Yellow. There we go. So it's like old paint stain right there. There's not a chance that shit's coming up. It's like I'm wiping up a century of dirt. That's what it feels like. I have no idea when the last time this floor was washed. I mean, I guess theoretically it could be a century ago if the house was washed. These floors weren't washed since the first owner purchased it. I think that's highly unlikely. But it could have been more than a year or two since floors are washed, depending on what the previous owner did. Let's see if I can. Yeah, so that doesn't really feel like a really kind of scraped off. Put the majority part of the paint up there. Let me just roll this out for just a little bit, the remainder of the paint, because it might just be a giant glob of acrylic that can be removed by fingernail. And sort of washed away there. Okay. Okay, so I think that's okay for the most part. I think that's decent. I find it hilarious how the palette has become just absolutely covered in paint, aka known as the palette of minimally viable, is that the correct word? The minimally spec'd laptop for running HackMatrix, because it does run HackMatrix. So. There goes a reflective Zeus. That is not yours. I could. No, Zeus. I can help you, dog. But that is not your water ball. He sees water and he's like, I suppose that's mine now. Let's go get water for you. What's crazy is that he even had water. He just wanted to drink from the paint bowl, the paint water. What is your prerogative drinking the paint water, Zeus? Shadow dog with glowing eyes. Okay, so this is a studio stream and I'm not sure what else I said. I said it was a studio stream and something else. I think I was maybe going to say MMO stream. I can't remember. But it doesn't really matter much. I do still want to get a distro out. I've been talking about that for a while. So see where we are with that at some point. But before that, I don't like having a super messy space for basically anything at any time. Which means that all of the paint on the floor, like it just had to be wiped out, or even the organization of, you know, the stuff right there, like that. If you look at that stuff right down there, it's kind of messy. Not really something that I want to have in my space long term. the lack of organization. This is a card. That card goes down there. So I'm going to organize the design board. It is, I guess, what I would consider a deadline day for the design. We'll see where we're at with that. Which means today I will write another milestone. This one will be sort of probably a repeat, but we'll see. I think it's the first time I announced my milestones online. I wish I probably shouldn't have. Some of the books I read say that you should, some of the books I read say that you shouldn't. This time around I wanted to, it's a pretty simple one. So we'll see where that got to. I did not put a distro online though, so the answer is basically got nowhere, I think. So then the question becomes, okay, so where is that going to go? And that's a good question. So we'll do that, but probably only after I, hold on, fix the studio up a bit here. So, we have this block, and I think I like this as a sort of desk space. That's how it's set up right now for me, as a sort of desk space. And so I think I want to pull the tatami mat out. And maybe I can put the cards over here with my passport. So I'm going to pull the tatami mat out. And instead of setting it down on that, I'm going to set it across like this. So I'm actually going to move the books over there. And then I will have space here for this slightly more organized tatami mat. Okay, so we have a deck of cards here. Maybe I don't need this part to be so bright. We have a deck of cards here, this one says Unix Hype. Unlock the iPad. I think it'd be cool if we could have, HackMatrix installed on the iPad. Clan and factions, I think is a cool one. So for clan and factions, it says distinct internal identities for the factions. So that would mean people would sort of identify with their clan in the same way that you would identify with maybe a corporation or a city or a team or something. Cohesive external identity that integrates the personal identities internals. I really like how metaphysical that one. Cohesive external identity that integrates the personal identities internals. So it's like something that's honest, I guess. So I want cohesive external identity that integrates the personal identities internals. Okay, so for clan and factions, it's like I want people to have clans that sort of resonate with them. And I guess superficial ways would be like what distro you use or what language you like to program with. It's maybe a little less superficial than some things. for the cohesive external identity, but some things could be like core values, or maybe work direction and mission in the game or something, or just core values in general and mission in life. Doesn't have to be specifically about the role playing of the game itself. And then there's like a concept of minding. So the mastermind group. So your faction can help you put together projects and execute on projects. So you kind of think of this as like a scrum team for a project. Oops. I'm going to move the camera a bit. The reason is just because I want to get this mouse here. Ooh, the fountain. Oh, I'm sorry, Zeus. I almost sat on Zeus's head. Kind of sat on his head. A bit. I'm actually going to move a bit this way, under the tree, so we can see the fountain. There we go. Maybe I can move this closer to where we're hacking at here. It's a bit laggy. You can see the what is that? The screen refresh lag time. Oh, it's also the camera lag time. That's mostly what it is. It's taking a camera feed and feeding it through USB and putting it out here. Anyways, back to what we're doing here. There we are. I think that's suitable. I actually like the idea of lighting some incense. The incense burner is well over here. We can light some incense for the stream here, and for the design session we're about to what I'm about to do. I'll get a little bit closer to the camera so people can see what's going on. Okay, I think that's probably good. Guys, I only have 2 incense sticks left. That is a shame, so I must go get some new incense sticks for my house. So in some ways I feel like I'm living life on easy mode because I have a house now and I don't spend time on anything I don't want to, essentially. Which is quite nice. I'm going to orient the board in a way that works for the camera. So right now it's all oriented downwards as if it were facing me. But I'm going to orient this way, for the sake of love, the vibe. I'm going to move this down here. I suppose this is a central emotion to all people, but I kind of wanted to emphasize it in the HackMatrix game. As you can see, I think I might want to move the light slightly, although I kind of like how dim it is. Maybe I need to move the camera. You can sort of see the yellow and the blue and the red and the green. They're sort of bright colors. So I think this card informs somewhat of the math, and also you can see there's an edge here on the card. Let me move it closer. You can see that there's sort of like wave-like scribbles over there. That's because this was actually part of another series of cards that made a sort of river. So that's actually water. So that card is pretty central. So I'll keep it there for the design. I'm going to pull all of these into a hand. So the deck is full of things that will probably not be implemented for a while. And so the deck here is, I don't know, like 30 cards or something, and it contains features and ideas and stuff that it's a bit too much for me to go through in a single, let's call this a sprint. I think I like organizing my workflows into sprints and such. So for this particular sprint, hopefully that light source doesn't drain or cause too strong of a contrast here, but I don't think I had enough light for the board itself. So maybe I can bring this up here, maybe assist with that. Actually, I think it's probably easier to read the cards if it's like this. So there we go. This particular card here. Like I said, I'm gathering these into a hand. There are 2 cards on the cave. One is the Linux distro. Oh, I just threw some ashes onto the ground there. Onto the mat, which is the foreground for what we're doing here. It's actually interesting. I think I need like a trash can or something close by. There's one where I can get up and walk to. It's not like super close. I'll be right back. 1 minute. Okay, so sort of at the forefront, which is inspiring the art design, which will inspire the colors, and maybe will inspire just the general aesthetic and purpose of HackMatrix is this card. So I want to make using this system beneficial for, I guess, things in other realms and dimensions of life. I think that's, in essence, what this word means. It's being patient to let certain aspects of life sort of play themselves out and integrate themselves in ways, and so I feel like a Linux system allows a person to customize their system more, and turn this system into something that they personally love more. If they use a system for things that typically aren't associated with Linux, used to be game development or maybe gameplay, but engineering to some degree, maybe some software engineering fields, maybe videography. I'm not sure a lot of creatives ever really use Linux. There are a lot of creative tools that are unavailable. If that is the case for a person, then they might not be able to do what they love with a system made on Linux or made with Linux. And so if that's the case, then this card doesn't really apply to them. But it does apply to ensure that I sort of take that into account, at least, think about it. But yeah, this is just a general, maybe let's say emotion or general vibe that I want in the game design. There's a book I read that describes game design as a bunch of various lenses on maybe, I think, like a core emotions or something, like people's core emotions towards how a digital piece of digital media, a game specifically, because it's a game design book, makes people feel. And so I guess this is one of the underlying emotions or things that I want. Another one, which I think I'm going to put down right now because there's a bell and there's incense, is Zen. So I want HackMatrix to feel sort of meditative, sort of full of consciousness, not necessarily entertainment, but more relaxed, I guess. As you can see, well maybe you can't, but the actual design studio is sort of floor-based. I built a sort of thing that everything sits on. I made this out of the cedar wood I had, shipped to my house. And that's sort of part of the Zen aesthetic. So I'm sort of keeping the Zen aesthetic in mind when it comes to maybe not the art. I think it's probably difficult to do like proper Zen art since I'm like relatively new to painting. I think painting in a particular style is evidence of a well-seasoned or well-experienced artist of a particular practice. So Zen art, I kind of want this to be more infused with the love attribute than the Zen attribute per se. But both of these are sort of guiding emotions or aesthetics or vibes, which don't seem to be like mutually incompatible or anything. They seem to be pretty well compatible. Okay, so I'm just going to grab all of the remainder of the cards, all of the cards, and put them into the hand. Or maybe even throw them into the deck and only have two of the cards out here. This is simply a bike tool. Got used in my day-to-day life. And ended up on this board somehow. Okay. So the main idea, and the one that's on the wall, which has been painted on the wall, by that I mean you can see that the card up there, let's see if I can maybe use this incense stick to show a demonstration of this. So right there, there's like a white rectangle, like a big white rectangle. that is the Linux distro card. I'm going to take it down here, or take it down at some point and put it back onto the tatami mat here on the design board. But not quite yet. And I just went ahead and combined those into the rest of the deck here. Voxels being at the top of the deck. So I could draw like a card like this and say, oh, we're going to focus on voxels. Let's focus on voxels. And it's my house, by the way. That's what my house looks like. It's its dimensions in the vertical space. It's got a basement. Don't know why it's front door. I guess that's the front door of the house. I don't know. It's on a hill, so you would never see a door like that. It has no door. That's a window. So that's a little messed up. That is my house. I've got a basement. I've got a first story. Got a second story, and then an attic roof thing. And the first story has this like outside crop in. So I'll make my house in boxes. But yeah, so the Linux distro is on the wall, like I said. So I guess it's technically the main card in play. I tried to get the ISO set up yesterday. There is a QCOW available, although I don't think it's going to be very well playable. I think that I want people to boot HackMatrix, at least at the moment, as like a proper OS. Or maybe I can ship it cross-platform, but I think a cross-platform non-distro version, and just not shipping it as a distro is kind of maybe out of the question. I think that maybe the game devs of the like 2010s, early 2010s were correct in that Windows has a sort of unified game development experience, and Linux is so fragmented that it's difficult to ship anything. That's sort of settled down for games obviously now, which is great, but this isn't a game, this is basically an OS. Like this is I mean, you're not going to say it's an OS. I think distro is the right word for it. There's a very particular set of resources or dependencies required, and those are only going to grow. And it's probably going to end up becoming more than, like a simple graphical user interface like GTK. Like my desktop environment is going to be a full RPG like campaign basically. And so like shipping that, I could ship it as a game via Steam, but I have to target a specific platform. Or I could ship it as a distro. If people knew how to install distros, it would be better, I think. Just install the OS. It's not even going to be installable, I think. At least for the first iteration. Which is weird, because that's not how I run it. I run it as a window manager that got installed. So I don't know, maybe I can try to package it for itch as a .image file or something, or give people a binary to run. Maybe I can package all the libraries and make it. It just seems so much easier to distribute distro, at least to me. I think there used to be a time where distro to me meant the entire OS, and so it included the window manager and desktop environment. We'll jump over here. I think there is chat. Andreas Castellano 558 says hi. Right now I'm installing a Windows 10 on Arch Linux with QEMU. Okay. I will try with your HackMatrix as soon as finish my work with duties or work duties. Cool. That's pretty cool. Let me know how it goes. Jumped all over the place. Well, this is an interesting stream actually, because I'm not really doing much besides physical space stuff, USB camera stuff. This camera's not great either. I used to be able to use my phone as a camera for this system, and I could stream with that, and that was a pretty cool setup. And I haven't changed my OS, so I can still stream like that. I just lost maybe the knowledge for how to do that. I lost my network setup for how to do that. I need to re-network everything. So I could do that on stream one day. Maybe I should do it soon. The router is right down there. You can see the antenna of the router. Okay, so there's still more stuff I think I want to do to maybe clean up the studio. Although I think a decent job at cleaning up the tatami mat here, so that's nice. I have a deck of cards. I have the 2 cards that are in play, including the card that's on the wall, which I may decide to take out of play, but probably not, I'm not sure, which is the Linux distro. Still thinking about how to package this system. Alright, let's move to the less glamorous parts of the studio here as I clean that. I was like, where did my gong for the, or where did the mallet for the Zen bell go? It's like, no, it's right here behind me. Okay, I'll see if it brings Zeus to, I guess, wake. Just completely unaffected. Anyways, I'm going to rotate this around, and I see some particulates. Could be like wood shreds or sawdust or maybe paint scraps or something. I'm not entirely sure. Needs to be swept up. I'm going to put my shoes on now. Okay. Hello, dog, bro. Hello, dog. Hello, dog. I'd say the majority of that was dirt. Let's go take a look at some cable management issues. I suppose the best place to do that will be right here. see, if I were to do that with the router setup that I need to have, the stream would crash, everything would crash. If I unplug the master, what is this? The power strip, I guess is what you would call this. Everything would crash. It'd be a particularly kind of interesting thing to have happen. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Kind of. Cable management still needs to be improved. Yeah. I don't think you guys saw what I was managing. Appears that it's probably hidden management of cables. Alright, let's see. So I just unplugged this, and it wasn't going to sit up against the wall if I did this. I actually think I once. So I just pushed the tatami mat down to be flush with the. See, you can't even see the corner. Pushed it to be flush with the box. Anyways, this isn't really much of a cable. This is not power. It's just a signal cable for emergency stopping. So I can go there. This is a power block for, I guess, the DHCP server and other things. So that will go under there. What is this? Let's see, this is the phone charger, which must be eternally available for stream. And this is the light, the lamp light. And then this cable is for the minimum spec HackMatrix. And then I suppose I can put all of the giant blocks over here, although I probably need to move the phone charger cable thing, because I sometimes want it to go over here, like probably over near where the couch is and such, and so having it just go on that tatami mat there is not really sustainable. And then this is from the USB of the stream itself, and then this is from the keyboard of the stream, or the keyboard of the HackMatrix laptop. So this USB cable more loose, and then run it behind HackMatrix, the laptop. So it's not as much in the way. Okay, I would say that mostly takes care of the studio. I think the hammer needs to go somewhere else, although I do want to do work on the box. The thing that everything is sitting on for the studio. Centerpiece, I guess. Such down here. Okay, seems to be pretty well organized. These by standards that I can accept. So I'll give the final tour before I shut down stream, and then I'll probably be back on stream to do more engineering stuff. This was just a studio maintenance tour. So right now this is the sort of primary sitting area for the like floor desk, I guess. Sometimes I'll sit here, but I can also take the couch, then I move the couch to be parallel. You can see I'm moving it right now. I move it to be parallel with the screen there, and then I have to make sure that fits in with the shoes over there. Let's see. I don't think there'll be much painting going on tonight, so this area is probably not going to get used too much, although I might paint. I think there's a lot of material to go off of here. I mean, it seems we have like 4 various islands that are mostly urbanized, although this one is the first one that has buildings. And it looks more like a sort of university campus, which I like. So if the cave wasn't here, I would say that I would probably want the cave to be in a more simpler area, this university island, which I'm going to be honest, I sort of took from the what is an island in the center of Brooklyn and Manhattan, no relation. There is a university on like a long thin island. I think it's called Jefferson Island, maybe something like that. So this kind of took some inspiration from that. Okay, so with all of that, the studio, I think, is in suitable condition for any type of work that I wish to do today. So I may kill the stream now, or I may not. Maybe I will add a goal meditation or something. I think I can do that. was a cool shot. I like that shot there. It is a bit difficult to see what's going on. So I got my phone, I wanted to play some music. Okay, so here's something that I want to do, but that may get the stream banned, which is there's a YouTube video about a video game that I want to watch, but I don't want to have copyright problems with it. That was not where I wanted that to appear. That was a really terrible placement there. That one's probably better. Let's see if that's like that. I think I want it to be a little bit lower. Like I think probably down here is what I want. Okay, so it was yeah, this one. I don't have to do anything. So hopefully this doesn't like cause any stream triggering stuff problems. Wow, that actually looks really cool. Wow.
6v6. Each team has a zone on opposite sides of the arena. The objective: get more teammates inside the enemy zone than they have defenders. Hold that majority for long enough and the zone collapses, awarding your team points and ending the round. Each team commonly splits up to send forward 3 attackers and keep back 3 players to help protect the zone. And that tension between pushing and holding is where all of the strategy lives. The controls are very simple, just left, right, break. But there is a catch. Every input will cost you some speed. The only way to accelerate is by drafting close to another player's wall.
Whoa.
So at the start of every round, teams will run a coordinated launch sequence called the grind, where players ride each other's walls to accelerate together.
The grind? That's funny.
If you want a proper foundation before we get into the strategies, I've got a full fortress overview that starts from 0. I genuinely recommend watching this
fortress
and I will link it in the description.
It's probably not as complex as Dwarf Fortress.
Teams will dedicate a player to stay back and draw a box around their zone as the last line of defense. Many ways to crack this guy. When a player is eliminated, your cycle will explode a small section of all nearby walls. The strategy is to do this on purpose to let your teammates pass through. This is called holding.
It's called holding? That's hilarious.
Unless you're getting multiple teammates in with one hole like this legend right here, holding is kind of seen as the low-hanging fruit of zone entry. That being said, there's still some pretty sick plays you can pull off using the holding tech, like this one here.
That was pretty sick.
Hot off the grind, I draw a tight tunnel against
So I
one
feel
of my
like this
enemies
is
when
the
it's
actual correct place for me to
full.
sit.
Both go underneath to use my line as a slingshot, barreling towards the enemy base with insane speed. This sweeper made a wall to cover the zone, but we got here so fast the defender hadn't set up his box yet. And just like that, I'm in the zone seconds after the round started.
Murked.
Here's another slingshot where we noticed that this guy was fighting back with us. So we decided to call an audible and just try to hole through the front. The hole radius only pierced through 2 of the 3 layers though. I take it anyway and manage to avoid these 2 on a direct tunnel into the zone. Here's another slingshot play where the enemy sweeper is fully anticipating our antics. They're just kind of hovering around the area on standby, waiting to deny our holing attempt. I wrap around the back and here I notice my teammate is still in the tunnel behind me and my other teammate is occupying both sweepers. Because of this, we're free to hole whenever, but we wait till we're in front of the defender. That way this hole is followed up by this trap, pinning him back and giving us the entire zone.
Wow.
At this point, Gazelle and I were bringing so much heat that they felt the need to bring 2 sweepers over to our side. As soon as we noticed this, we both turn around and pivot to the other side of their fortress. Our intention here was to hole, but one of their sweepers tracked back with us to this side. So we sealed off both of his escapes, and he got completely cooked in this box. For this play, we sent one of our defensive players forward to slingshot on my line. No one expected this, and he got so much speed that he was able to round their team and break into their death before they even set up.
Bruh.
When a player is eliminated in Fortress, they're out until the next round, so creating a hole requires a complete sacrifice from your own team. But sometimes you can trick an enemy into doing the dirty work for you.
This is one of those games where I think you would get very good at understanding exactly what's happening. But before you start to understand it, it is incredibly, like, speed
When a player is
complex.
protecting space in Tron, they're either
It's
outside
difficult
their
to
tail,
focus.
expanding their area as they rotate, or behind it, shrinking down but making themselves
I
harder
want
to
to put
attack.
my nose on camera.
Defenders will usually try to expand when there are no attackers nearby. With this
But
in mind,
just
I
my
like to do this
nose.
little trick where I pretend I'm going back to my own base, and then I glance back to check on them to see if they're actually opening up. In this case, he totally was, so I slingshot myself back and sliced it right open. It's a pretty reliable way to get people off guard, and it can work on anybody, not just the defender.
Okay, obligatory pause. Sorry about the... Okay, here we are. So the goal meditation is done. We need a new banner. Case F. Watching Tron Fortress video game footage for some reason. The F needs to be do dragon. I'm not sure what the other ones are. No, there's just the regular, there's a dragon, and then there's the tux. Okay, let's go back and turn this on, and then we can maximize that. There we go. Very cool. I like being able to see my hand here. I think it's kind of cool. Although, I think I want the tree or something in the background here.
Wait a second. You might be wondering, how did I get around them there? This game has a mechanic called rubber.
Called
Think of it
rubber.
like pushing a balloon into a wall with your palm. Your hand gets closer and closer, but push too hard and it pops.
Okay.
That's rubber, a replenishable buffer between your cycle and any wall.
Oh, okay.
But here's where it gets interesting. If you push more rubber into a wall than the player next to you, you can actually fit through gaps that they can't.
That's amazing.
That's why this clip was actually not that impressive.
Okay.
While I hit some pretty nice turns, I had my rubber keeping me afloat.
Got it.
Sure, these tunnels look less impressive now, but rubber doesn't lower the skill ceiling. It raises it. It turns plays that shouldn't be possible into plays that are. Skilled players will manipulate rubber to breach a defense without even holing.
Got it. So it's the entire point of the game.
All the rubber I had into my own wall right here. At this point, he sees me and tries to stab his own rubber into my wall to cut me off. But it's too late, I'm too deep, and I'm already in. Here's what that all looks like in real time.
Okay, I get it.
The action of passing through this gap between the defender's side and their tail is called a cut. Cuts come in all shapes and sizes, but while we're on the topic of rubber, I want to cover one called the lack attack, named after an old
The
player.
lack attack.
Step one is to put a little bit of rubber on one of the defender's straightaways. Step two is to use that straightaway to gain speed. Step 3 is to jockey your cycle so it's close to the end of the defender's tail. Step 4 is to stab more rubber into the wall than you think they did. And step 5 is to shake and bake.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Okay, I still don't get what's going on there.
The Geometry Dash community isn't the only one that knows what a frame perfect looks like. In Tron, there's a turn so precise it slips underneath every rubber investment in the wall.
Interesting.
Pinpoint skill, blind faith, and absolutely no margin for error. This is the fabled perfect turn.
So the rubber is basically just timing slop. Seems like a fun enough game, I guess.
Oh, the fuck that. Oh, what? I really banged on.
Every clip you just watched was played by real people in a small community that found something special. A free, open source game that's been running for over 20 years. The physics feel unlike anything else, and the strategy never runs out. Retrocycles is free on Steam, and whether you play or not, now you know it exists.
No thanks. Actually, SimCity's cool enough.
Sure work.
I do kind of want to check out Retrocycles though. So maybe let's do that. Retrocycles. I think it's going to be really nice when I can compose windows like this and then just use it like this. I'm not quite there yet. It's because of how I designed this, but it'll be there soon. So this is the free to play Steam game.